Welcome back to another episode of The Quest for Self. I'm your host, Allie. Sometimes the growth, the recognition, and the self-work we've been doing for months, for years, it's just hard to see. Because you're the one sitting with yourself day in and day out. And each day, each week, each month, you're setting new goals, facing new obstacles, celebrating new wins. And in all that motion, you forget to stop and pat yourself on the back. Let this be that pause. Let this be that moment where you recognize how far you've come. I need to tell you, you're doing a great job. You're moving forward. Healing is not linear. And this episode is your reminder of that. About 6 or 7 months ago, I was coming out of a heartbreak. And to be honest, I wasn't in the best place. I had just moved into a new neighborhood in Madrid, didn't really know a lot of people, and emotionally, I was just trying to find my footing again. I thought I was ready to start dating, but deep down, I knew I wasn't. But I thought, hey, what harm could it do? Still, I convinced myself, if I put myself out there, maybe I'll feel better. Maybe it'll help me forget. Maybe I'll move on faster. So I jumped back into dating, hoping it would numb the pain. And that's when I met someone. He was sweet, kind, we went on a date, and I remember thinking, okay, maybe this guy could help me move forward. But if I'm being real with myself and with you, he wasn't what I truly needed. He didn't have a stable job, no real direction. But I thought, hey, he's nice, sweet. We all have to start somewhere, right? A week into talking, while I was on a trip, he messaged me out of the blue, saying he was talking to someone else and wanted to focus on that. He wanted to be honest with me, and even though that really stung, I appreciated his honesty. And I'll be honest, that rejection, it cut deep. Not because I was in love or because I had strong feelings, but because I had put this pressure on that connection to be the fix. And just like that, it disappeared. I remember feeling hurt, disappointed, thinking, seriously, this was my shot to feel better. But I chose to respond with grace. I thanked him for his honesty, wished him the best, and let it go. Looking back, I'm so proud of how I handled it. This was about 6 or 7 months ago, and even though that rejection really hurt, I wasn't going to let that break me. So I did what I do best, move forward. Fast forward to now, I see it differently. I see rejection as redirection. The universe whispering, this isn't for you. I'm protecting you. And guess what? A month later, after his rejection, he reappeared, just out of nowhere. He sent me a casual message, and I ignored it. Another month passed, another message. Ignored again. Then again, eventually, I responded. Nothing deep, just polite. Hey, hope you're doing well. That was it. I kept it brief. Then, one day, he asked to meet up for drinks. Now, by that time, I wasn't looking for closure because I had already given myself that. I decided to meet up for drinks, but made it clear that I was not interested in anything romantic with him. He respected that, and we ended up meeting. I arrived a little late, saw him sitting on a bench, and thought, okay, he's still really cute. We grabbed a few drinks and caught up, and I quickly realized his life hadn't changed. He hadn't changed. Still jumping from job to job, still searching for something to stick. Still no real passion or direction. At one point, I asked him what he was passionate about. He looked at me completely lost, like no one had ever asked him that before. And slowly, I started realizing just how lost this guy was, and I genuinely felt a little bad. Then he asked about me. I said, still in the same flat, same job, traveling a lot, and enjoying life. But as I shared more, my plans, my projects, my focus, he looked at me and said, I feel like a kid around you. And he started laughing. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't about feeling any better or hoping for some sort of look at how good I am, a big F you to what you missed. This was about the mirror that moment held up to me. And that's when it hit me. He didn't feel that way because my life is perfect. He felt that way because I've done the work. And I told him that. I told him it's taken years of self-reflection, hard decisions, discipline, clarity, and letting go to get to where I am. My life is far from perfect, but it's mine. It's intentional. In that moment, I didn't feel better than him. I just felt better than the person I used to be. And that realization, that shift, it was everything. I walked home that night inspired, grounded, and with a deep sense of pride for how far I've come. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself and said, thank you. I'm so proud of you. And I need to do that more. We all do. We need to be our own biggest cheerleaders. That night gave birth to this episode. That moment, that mirror, it all clicked. And if no one has told you lately, you're doing a phenomenal job. You're showing up. You're trying. And that counts more than you know. The very next morning, I took Mia out for a walk and I sat on a bench. Nothing special, just a regular morning for us. And then the universe spoke again. A woman sat next to me. Her name was Carolina, originally from Colombia. And we just started talking. She had such a warm energy. And before we knew it, we were talking about life, gratitude, the beauty of living here in Spain, the struggle, and the grace. I told her that I'd learned gratitude through hardship, through my mom's stroke, through almost losing her, through the darkness I had to crawl through to find light again. And then she began to tell me her story. She shared that when she lived in Colombia, her husband, an alcoholic, used to beat her. She had 2 kids, and she would lock them in a room and take the beatings herself. She took the beatings hoping that he would take all the rage out on her, and then would have none left to touch the children. One night, during a hard beating, he stabbed her in the neck with scissors. The night Catalina almost died, I sat there with tears rolling down my cheeks, not just from the horror of what she endured, but from the awe of what she became. Because fast forward 25 years, she made it out. She healed. She forgave. She started over. And now she's living her life in Spain, free, radiant, and full of joy. Her story reminded me that we all have the power to choose again, to rise again. And sometimes the universe places strangers in our path to remind us of that truth, right when we need it most. The truth is, we're all carrying something. A memory, a scar, a doubt. Maybe it's our image. Maybe it's our past. Maybe it's just a question of how to get our life on track. And while it might be tempting to rush forward, to move on, healing is something entirely different. A lot of us are just trying to move on, jump into something new to forget what hurt us. But healing? Healing is where the real transformation happens. It's messy, it's slow. It's the space where pain becomes wisdom, where bitterness becomes peace, where the resentment turns into forgiveness, where confusion becomes clarity. Sitting across from someone who once rejected you and realizing you feel no resentment, no longing, that's healing. That's full circle. And it taught me another truth. Closure doesn't always come in a conversation. Sometimes the universe just hands you a mirror, and that's enough. Because that night, as I listened to him talk about everything going wrong, something shifted in me. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't sad. I was just clear. And the things I once found attractive, they didn't do it for me anymore. Not because I changed who I was, but because I remembered who I am. Sometimes growth is so quiet, we don't even notice it until life hands us a moment that says, "Look how far you've come." And it all hits us, just like a bus. So if you're listening to this right now, this is your sign to pause, to breathe, to look at yourself in the mirror, not with judgment, but with compassion, to wrap your arms around the person who's been trying, showing up, doing the best they can. And say it with love. Repeat after me. I am proud of me. I am proud of the work that I have done. I am proud of who I am becoming. Because this journey, it's far from perfect. It's messy, it's non-linear, it's exhausting sometimes, but it's yours. It's sacred. And every single step you've taken, even the ones that felt like setbacks, have been leading you somewhere. Not toward someone else, not toward a version that makes others approve, but towards the most authentic, aligned, strongest version of you. So take this as your mirror moment. When was the last time you really acknowledged your own growth? When was the last time you stopped chasing and simply said, "I'm doing better than I think"? Because you are. Keep going. Keep choosing you. Keep becoming. Because every step you take is leading you to a better version of yourself. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Quest for Self. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. It would mean the world. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, The Quest for Self.